Welcome back. Welcome in. It's Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. It's a Paramount podcast. I'm Mike Casazza here on a Monday morning following a football game before a exciting weekend of basketball and a visit. Um, uh, Chris Anderson, I believe that is on the back burner because I don't know. Is the house on fire again? Do we have a grease fire in the stovetop? And people want to talk about football and how everything's bad. All is not well.
Well, that'll happen when you look the way that they've looked in the last few weeks. And not surprisingly, that's where so many of the questions come from this week in the mailbag. Lots of touching on changes. There's going to be a lot of questions in here. We're going to try to, we're going to answer the best we can, but there's a lot of questions in here of who's out, who can help with changes, all that kind of stuff. So, is the house on fire? Yeah. I are Although I was about to say, is that meme where a guy's sitting in a house on fire saying this is fine? Because I don't think there's anybody saying this is fine. So that one doesn't even fit here.
Striking to me that Rodriguez, one, it's not striking me that he's honest, but his post game, you can tell he's mad and frustrated, and he's not hiding that either. There's not
No.
a lot of, well, did you see this? Well, we did this. Not a lot of that, because even if there are good things, they are so far beneath the surface for him. That's not always been the case around here. Let's just leave it at that. There's a gap of about 6 years where things trended a bit more optimistic, even when maybe the situation did not call for that. Now you have kind of the inverse being the reality here. He's not wrong, but I really wish I was kind of there on Saturday because he said, I know what we have to do to fix it. And like there was no follow up on that. So Tuesday morning, that'd be a good question. Like, coach, what do you got to do to fix it? I don't know how long that answer will be, but do you think it's that obvious?
No.
Yeah. So
I,
sometimes I just wonder if coaches are like, give me, let me get out of here. I want to get in the plane. I want to yell at some people. I want to get back to my office and start figuring out what to do next week. Sometimes that happens and you're just saying stuff like, I know what I got to do. I got to fix this and this and this. And it's not like, all right, we got to put this person here, drop this scheme, add this package. It might be that in depth, but I wonder what like an answer to that question would be because I think he has answers. Just that question would be like, hey, what do you got to do to fix it? And he might have something generic and coach speak, but he also might have something a little bit more detailed. Maybe not as far as like, get this guy out of here, hire this guy, swap this part of the playbook out. But I think there's probably something tangible there that he's got on the tip of his tongue or the tip of his fingers. Can he get to making the change? Will he make those changes? I don't know. We'll see.
well, and I was gonna say if he doesn't want to answer that question, maybe we could at least ask how many bullet points are on your checklist here for things that need fixed. Like, is this a two problem fix, a 10 problem fix, 12 problem fix? Like, what are we talking about here? Because from the outside looking in, which again, we cover the team, but we're still not on the team. We're not on the coaching staff. It looks like it's more than a two or three problem fix. It looks like a seven, eight, nine, 10 problem fix. And can you fix all of those problems in one off season? Do you need to fix all those problems in one off season to turn things around? I don't know.
Yeah, there's even a question of that. Is it a regular season, in season fix, or must you wait until you're building a roster, then you have the roster to make the fixes? Because they're separate questions. But honestly, as far as people care in the present, which is not really going anywhere right now, probably more toward the future with their interests and their projections and all that, it might be all about jettisoning people, getting people in, just having the right 105 plus 20 coaches and players, plus schemes, and just trying to trim what you can't do, add what you should do. That's probably not stuff you can do during the regular season. Like the heavy lifting, probably what he's more focused on, probably what the outside looking in is more focused on, and that's going to wait till January, March, June, long time from now.
Yep. Well, I assure you there are plenty of questions about it in the mailbag. So shall we get to it?
Yeah, we shall.
All right. Start us right off. Again, I'm going through with the most upvoted questions by you guys, by the listeners, by our VIP members. So that is the order of which we will answer them. Answer as many as we can here for the podcast. A couple of them we've saved for 3 minute videos, and the rest will be answered in written format going up Wednesday morning. First question, the most upvoted question. M. Kirchner 12. How much staff turnover are you expecting? I saw a post yesterday pointing out there's a possibly a too many cooks in the kitchen situation going on here. And could you see an overhaul where West Virginia decreases the amount of staffers and pools the money to try to pry some established assistants over? Garen Justice at SMU comes to mind as someone who could be a huge help going forward.
Can I ask why you're injustice? Is it just because he played here? Like, does if his name was if he was not a West Virginia graduate, like, would you be plucking that name out of thin air? I understand that, but um, that's just weird. When people always go to that one or Rick Trickett or Herb Hand or people like that because of the past with Rodriguez. Going to be hard to get him out of SMU. He's pretty well taken care of. That I think you did some
Yeah,
reporting on this in the offseason, right? Yeah,
he's got a lot of money.
yeah. Which again, money's not a problem here, so they can make that happen. Again, you talk about it and you be about it. They're going to have to be about it. So not to get in the Garen Justice thing, I just always find that interesting that you're going to your alumni where if you get a great offensive line coach, who cares where he was? And then I just haven't seen the interest that Justice is going to come back or wants to come back or is leaving a situation that they're in the playoff last year. Could be tough to get him out of there. So to the point, yeah, there's a chance there's a lot of turnover because a couple of reasons. One, everybody except Zach Alley is on a 1 year contract.
Yep.
That's not a mistake. There's no way you're hiring what is it, close to 20 coaches, and they're all fits. There's no way you're going to hit that way. You can't do it in recruiting. You can't do it in building a coaching staff. You can't do it at the grocery store. It just doesn't work that way. So there's a good chance, yeah, there's a likelihood that some to many of those coaches are not going to be here. They may move on. They may not be invited back. Hey, thank you. We tried. It didn't work. And those coaches will know it too. They guess what? They might not want to be here either. So it's a two-way street. You're inevitably going to see that. Not breaking news there. The point that's really interesting here is how much it gets reshaped. I think that's inevitable too. We've never seen this before. They've never done this before. They're adding coaches just for on whims, and like look at what Ross Hodge did earlier this month. He hires a power four assistant coach when he already had a full coaching staff, but he didn't have a director of recruiting. So he moved one of his assistant coaches to director of recruiting. These things are very fluid. They're in flux. I don't think anybody knows what the format is because they've never had this. They've thought about it. I wish I had more assistant coaches. So now you have carte blanche. You can do what you want. I just cannot believe that one, they got who and what they wanted, and two, it's perfect. It doesn't need changing. It does absolutely. The personnel, the structure, the amount of access to a player or the amount of access players have to a coach. Who do you go to when you have an issue? That stuff all has to be clarified and streamlined. Probably know what I'm talking about here. So that is inevitably going to be part of your offseason, just figuring out how do we do this better because you are herding cats on this, and now you got to figure out what's functional here. We have a lot of voices and a lot of leaders. Who do you go to? Who do you listen to? Who's in charge? Who does the change and adjustment, a game plan addition, a game plan subtraction? That stuff all has to be figured out. I don't know how you were going to be good at it the first year, but I would think less is more in the future. And maybe you have the same amount of people, but maybe the roles are very clearly defined. So you are moving forward with purpose and not just shuffling your feet, looking around, going, "I don't know, what are we doing? Are we doing this right? Never done this before. Never been here before." Can't imagine that's not a part of it here and anywhere else.
Yeah, I think and to clarify something, the numbers, I'm curious if we really truly went back and compared like the actual numbers of, and I'm using a very loosely defined term of coaching staff here because previously a lot of these guys, you would be like, "Oh man," like right now I think people look at, let's just say offensive line just because, well, we're going to discuss it quite a bit in this mailbag, but there was an offensive line coach and then there was a GA, and then there was like two student assistants. So there was always like four guys there, but it was very clearly defined. Offensive line coach, GA, student assistants. Very clearly defined. I still think it's pretty clearly defined, but now all of a sudden you got offensive line coach, assistant offensive line coach, another assistant offensive line coach, and then you got a couple student assistants in there. So the numbers, are they that much greater than what they were before? Not really. Like it's just that instead of GAs and students assistants, they're assistant offensive line coaches, assistants to the assistant coaches. Like you said, how clearly defined are these roles? Because again, it used to be head coach, coordinator, assistant coach, GA, student assistant. Now we got all this mix of a bunch of different coaches, and I'm always concerned about like I'm thinking specifically like about the secondary, where all of a sudden like every safety spot has its own personal assistant coach. Like we got, a Sam/nickel coach, we got a spirit coach, we got a safeties coach, we got a corner coach. I don't know what the defined answer, because the problem last year was there was just a defensive backs coach who coached everybody, and the pitch then was, hey, this gets everybody on the same page, and that definitely did not work at all. And now have we gone too far in the other direction where every single player on that secondary has their own personal assistant coach, and they might be getting five different answers. So yeah, I'm with you. I think there's going to be some tweaking going on here. Again, and in any standard year, successful, not successful, regardless of coach, regardless of year, when there were 10 assistant coaches, true assistant coaches, it's like you can guarantee three of them will change. Guarantee. Again, win, lose, whatever. So if we're up to whatever, what would you say, 20
Oh,
some coaches, you're guaranteeing at least six changes. Now, losing, you're tweaking, you're trying to find the right mix of how you want to do it and right hierarchy. I mean, I'd say at least half, uh, probably around half will be changed over in the offseason, because you're right. They're all 1 year deals, and they were all 1 year deals for a purpose, because no one knew what the right answer was going to be.
yep. If you don't count those strength coaches, which that may be a whole other conversation too, but
No, don't,
26,
God, don't go there, Mike. You know that's a hot topic.
20, 26. You have Rich Rodriguez, and then 26 coordinators, assistants to the assistant, analysts, 26 of them too. And just strange things too. Like I don't you could definitely pick out the 10, the quote unquote air quotes here, 10 assistant coaches. There's not really a question about Larry Porter and Noel Devine. And there's not a question about Jack Bicknell and Derek Dressler. No offense. But like those, you know who that is. But just some stuff too where I think Pat White's the assistant quarterback coach, but also assistant to the head coach. Noel is actually assistant running back coach slash offensive analyst. And then I have no reason to think that Travis Trickett won't be back or wouldn't be welcome back. But senior offensive assistant, is he just like an ombudsman for the offense and he walks around and just kind of spends the day here or goes to put the fire out because the coach says, hey, right tackle, what's going on here? Go help out. But now you're putting him in the room hypothetically with Jack Bicknell and whomever may be one of the assistant offensive line coaches that is in charge of tackles, let's say. That's probably how they do that. They got three guys in there too. So I don't know how smooth that is, but I don't know how it was ever going to be smooth. And I don't know that you necessarily have to abandon it. Maybe you just have to get better at it and sand things and smooth things out a little bit. Just maybe don't throw everything out right away. Maybe have a good idea somewhere in there. You just got to get down to there somehow.
Well, I think some of that might be quarterback, because I think Trickett's involved some. I mean, he's, again, like you said, offensive analyst, and God forbid I am not comparing him to Jordan Leslie, but taking that more of a, like you said, walking around position to position, kind of overseeing things, helping everywhere kind of things. But say there's quarterback talk. You now have Trickett, Pat White, Rhett Rodriguez, and Rich Rodriguez is involved. So that's four different people I mean, I think you can safely say that Rich Rodriguez is going to have the final say in that. But now you have four different people kind of discussing and coaching and figuring out one spot. And that's tough. I mean, a lot of these guys, they have experience. They all have their different, bona fides here, to bona fides, to say, hey, this is what I think should happen and why you should listen to that person. So it's tough. Again, this is a feeling out period for West Virginia, trying to figure that out in a lot of schools, a ton of schools. And the more money and the more people you add, the more room you have to make mistakes. And I don't want this to get into a discussion about West Virginia not having the money, but say Alabama, maybe they have 35 coaches and they spent $30 million on those 35 coaches. If they screw up 10 of them, that's okay. They still got 25 good coaches. If West Virginia screws up 10 of them, they're down to, 16. Is that what you said? 26. So, it is about money. It is about quantity. It's just kind of a shotgun approach of seeing what you can figure out.
One more on your point about quarterbacks, Chris. What position has external coaching too.
Yeah.
They have their guy that they
Oh
grew up
yeah, they
with.
have their own
They go home
personal
and they work
quarterback
out with.
coach.
Yeah, or they're gonna be on like a video call with their iPad looking at mechanics and things like that too. I'm not saying that's what Scotty Fox and Khalil Wilkins are doing, but like there's a whole other dynamic when it comes to quarterbacks. I don't think that's happening with like your tight end. May not have a position specific coach back home he works with, but quarterbacks, yeah, that's what five voices we just talked about there. And
Hmm.
who are you gonna listen to more? You're probably gonna listen to the guy you've known the longest, who thinks you're great and you can work on stuff too. So your individual position coach from high school or that you train with back home, he's gonna have some clout too, I'm sure.
Speaking of money, I lumped these two questions together because they seem very much related. The first one's from Midbius and the second one from InHunter17. Has the quote unquote big money that was supposedly behind Rich actually contributed? If not, what's the deal there? And related, is Pat McAfee as involved as much as it is perceived?
All right, I can't answer the second one because I don't know what the perception is. Is he supposed to have the weekly spot? Are we saying that Rich Rodriguez is supposed to have the weekly spot on the show? Is that the like I don't that's what I'm asking. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So was that ever promised? I don't know. I know he did his show here when they hired Rodriguez, which was priceless exposure. That was a big deal, and that should have helped you kickstart fundraising. I believe he's been on his show twice during the regular season. Not sure, but in all due respect to the program and the coach, it's not high profile enough to have a regular spot on there. Look who he's putting. He's put Aaron Rodgers there too. Hard to beat that profile football player. The other question's really interesting. So to answer that one, yeah, I don't know what the expectation is, but he's done some. Has he done enough? I don't know what's enough. What we're expecting. I would say that the financial component that exists. I'll leave it at that because it hasn't gone public, and I think that's a preference, but that's fine. What about the other money? Chris, they made their own collective. Like Hard Edge LLC was a real thing. So
Yep.
they made their own collective. People were behind that with money. That's how they got some of the money in the preseason. That's how they accounted for maybe what they foresaw as a deficit, what they feared might be a deficit. So they kind of plugged that gap. Nothing nefarious about that. It was a necessity. So the money was there. But what were you expecting? It's very hard for me to answer that. All I know is that people said, hey, the money will be open. The spigot will be open. The money will be coming out. All I can tell you, I don't know. They've been quiet with their finances. There's some cloudiness about it intentionally because you don't want to know the exacts. But when the head coach comes out and says, I probably need 10 million and he's not near that, or he's getting near that, I would think that there's probably access to that sort of income. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't feel too bad about that. Is it going to be there the first year? I don't think there's any purpose denying right now. Like he's not universally popular now. Certainly wasn't when the season started too. It was always going to be a little bit of a battle to get people to open up their wallets for a program that hasn't been very good in this new era or even the few years before it. People are just hard to come around like that. And you've said this before. Successful rich people don't just throw away money
Yeah.
on things that aren't like people who've worked hard to earn money. Just I don't know if it'll work here. Take $1 million. That doesn't exist, right? So it's going to be creative and it's going to be more from collective individuals than like lone individuals. I think you're probably going to have to pass the basket around, so to speak, and hope people throw in big bills rather than hoping that one big spender grabs the basket and fills it up for you. I hope that makes sense. So it's going to take time. It's probably not as good as anybody wants. It's probably better than what people imagined. As with most things, it's never one or the other. It's kind of in the middle. I don't know what people were expecting beforehand. Did they expect like people to come out of the woodwork? Well, who are they? Where were they? Where have they been? It's going to take time to bring them to the table, and maybe not enough time or not enough good things have happened.
Yeah, I have first off, we don't know specifics on money. I know there are sites out there that'll be like, "Oh yeah, so and so is getting paid X." Nobody knows that. Nobody knows it for sure because anytime you try to get the information on this, student privacy, and schools and the players and their agents, even though sometimes the agents kind of want that money to be leaked out so it can help them get other deals, I think a lot of them are finding that they actually don't want all of this information public because, and there's a question in here in the mailbag. I'll be answering this one in the written form, but I guess I'll answer it right now. Is one of the fans right here on our site puts it this way. the team is getting worse and the players are getting paid 2 to 3 times as much as the average fan. Why should we care? And there is that angle of it. Like if the fans start fighting, like, hey, wait, hold on. Like now these kids are getting paid 3, 4 times as much as, I'm making, and before we were good and now and they weren't getting paid. What is going on? There's going to be some, you can call it jealousy, some anger about that. And so I think schools and players and agents, for their own reasons and in their from their side of view, rightfully want that muddied, want those waters muddied so that no one knows the exact amount that's being talked about. You and I, we love clarity. We love transparency. We want that information out there so we could talk about it. And it's just not. My concern with what's happening right now with West Virginia is, yeah, you're right. There was a talk, hey, it'll open up with Rich Rodriguez coming in. And now it's, hey, well, we didn't spend all our money this year yet. Good news, we're going to use it next year. Okay, well, you said you were going to use it this year, but now I'm supposed to believe that you're going to use it next year even more? Like, it's a lot of trust going on here. And so it's how far down are you going to keep kicking this can of it? Well, we didn't use it. The reason we stink now is because we actually didn't use the money we said we were going to use, and now we're going to use it later. And I get the whole it's not parlor tricks, but the we are using the full 20 mil or 12 million, 20, whatever we're going to say here about the rev share, the full cut of the whole school or just football. We're saving some of it for next year, but it's still this calendar year, all that stuff. But there is that, like, you got to have some trust here. If you're going to ask all these people, all these fans, all these donors for all of this money, they're going to want to see it used. They're going to want to see it used correctly and get results. But there's already been this, hey, actually, the team stinks this year because we actually didn't use all our money, but we're going to eventually. And that it's one time only. And again, maybe it's the right financial decision. Maybe it's the right decision. I'm not saying it's wrong, but there is that, oh, wait, what? Now the pressure's on. Like you've built up, you've doubled, tripled the pressure on the next year of the money that you're spending and the results. So it better be there, or else then fans are going to be like, wait. You kick the can down the road, and then the team still stinks, and so on and so forth. It's going to keep going downhill from there. So a lot of pressure on next year.
So real quickly on this, because I know we have more we want to get to, but you and I both kind of applauded Rodriguez for being open and honest last week about the number
Yes.
when asked about that. That was fine. I go back to the summer. You assigned me to go to a baseball recruiting event, and Steve Saban said, "Come to this recruiting thing we're doing," and he had a PowerPoint and he talked about the money,
Yeah.
how revenue sharing and NIL works, and what to expect versus what you hear. And with a room full of high school players and parents, it colored in so many blanks. And I remember walking out with one person. I had a 24/7 shirt on. And I walked out with one person, and it was a dad who had. I don't want to say because I might give it up, but just wow, I didn't know that helped. What the math doesn't match in my head what I saw on the screen. What's real, what's a myth. Chris, here's my idea. I wrote about it. West Virginia can have this. $18.67. Send me a Zoom link and explain everything to me,
Yeah.
or send me a YouTube link and explain everything to me. Here's what happened. Go over as open or as closed, whatever you choose, as transparent as cloudy, but explain how it works, the finances, um, just so people understand what they're giving it to, because it's a binary for some people. This team stinks. I'm not giving it to them. Or also, they have enough money. Why do they need mine? I'm paying $8 for a beer, $6 for a pretzel, way too much for tickets, a fee on top of my season ticket cost. I better stop myself here. But if you don't understand where the money going for this tertiary expense now for paying players, well, how is it being used? Wait a minute, I gave money and you're not using it all, but there's actually a logic behind that. If they just did something to educate a little bit, I think it would go a long way.
Yeah.
I think it would open up minds. It probably would open up wallets, but also you just have an appreciation when you feel like you're not having things hidden from you. And this is something that if everybody's doing well and you're not, or if peers are doing well and you're not, and you're saying, actually, no, we are doing okay, but let me explain, you have to explain. You can't expect like people just to go out and do it on their own. I think it would help a little bit. Maybe there's not as cheesy an idea as mine, like an $18.67 webinar, but something that you can just explain to people. Hey, here's why you're mad. Here's why you shouldn't be mad. And here's how it's going to look in the future so you won't be mad again. I think that'd be helpful. And if they can make money on it, they should.
Pay me some money so I can explain why I didn't use your last money correctly.
Yeah.
There we go. I like it. I like it.
Well, that's the thing
Um,
about like this whole thing about having this leftover money. I don't know what the purpose of the leak was there, but like I think that did more damage than good.
yeah. I mean,
But
it's a
now if
t
you
it's a tough sell. Like it makes sense. Like if you sit here and you think, I mean, you and I, I'm assuming we're not supposed to, so I'm assuming did not give money, so it doesn't affect, I'm whatever on it. It's not my money you didn't use. But if that were my money and you're like, hey, good news, we suck because we didn't actually use your money and I've just been pocketing your money, I'd be like, what? What?
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? But it makes like, when you step back at it, look big picture, okay, you kind of saw the writing on the wall for this year, figured it would be best to kind of shift a little bit of that money to next year. I get it. It makes sense. But like I said, I mean, we with everything we kind of push transparency is usually good. We should stick with it, and especially if you're going to ask people for money, they want to know what their money's doing. So, um, Mountaineers 91. Is Rich Rodriguez a better coach today than he was in early September and today than he was Saturday? How much of what we are seeing now is talent versus how much is coaching versus how much of this is a full program reboot? If this is all or some of the above, what's to say we are or aren't in a similar situation this time next year? Why aren't we seeing player and coaching improvements in season? Several parts here. Let's start with coaching v
Thanks.
talent, coaching v talent. Um, because I think this is something that I've been pretty consistent on because like before the season, I was like, this is the talent's just I don't think's there. Like again, you're overhauling three-fourths of the roster. That was always going to be a problem. We talk about recruiting, like best case scenario in recruiting for years and years and years, long before NIL, long before transfers, back like when Rich Rodriguez was first in Morgantown. Absolute best case scenario in a recruiting class is half of them contribute
Yeah.
and like five of them are legitimately good out of like 25. It's always been that way. Now it just hurts more because money's behind it. And it hurts even worse this year for West Virginia because instead of 25 players making up one-fifth of your roster or one-fourth of your roster, it's 80 players making up three-fourths of your roster. So it's just a numbers game on that front. So I think for me personally, I believe it to be more of a talent issue than a coaching issue. And if you want to make the argument of, well, that's part of a coaching issue
Yeah.
because they got to evaluate talent, point taken.
Fair.
So,
All right. So let's go one by one here. I'll piggyback on what you said there. I don't have much to dispute what you said. Yeah, evals, securing players, that's fine. I get that. I think they'll feel this a little bit next year because they're not going to have the freshman class just because the timing there. Like the portal thing, I don't agree with. The freshman class, I absolutely agree with. Signing day was before Rodriguez was hired, so hard to get freshmen. I thought that I went back and I listened to some stuff in the preseason because I'm nuts, but I want to see how nuts I actually am. And pretty much everything said they have pieces. If they can pull it all together, they could be this. They could do this. Like, for example, their defense, one, couldn't be worse. Two, good coaching and some good acquisitions. We imagine Coates, Scruggs, who's still been good, and Perry,
Robinson,
Robinson. There was one or two other players like, hey, that's a good core for a starting lineup there. If they can coach it together, it'll be all right on defense. Well, of course, that hasn't happened. Is that individual? Is that collective? But yeah, we were saying the talent isn't great, isn't ideal. How about that? But they have pieces, and if they can coach it up, they can whip up something good. That hasn't happened, so I don't know how you can't say that's a shortcoming of the coaching staff there too. And they would probably tell you the same. They got to get their players in better positions. They got to get the best players in the field. If the best players on the sideline, there's a reason they're not in the field, and that may be also coaching too. So to answer that question, that part of the question, I'm with you. Sure,
okay. Um,
that was a long question though.
yeah, well, here you go. Next part is the why, what's to make them believe that it won't be the same at this point next year?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it could
Because
be, but
where's
again,
it could
it's
be sure, but do
yeah,
they have that benefit of the doubt for the reasons that we just explained? Like a lot of
correct.
things have to go right from evaluating to developing to getting them on the field to elevating within the season. And so far, for various reasons, including just an inherent difficulty in the first year, and when you're so new to all of this, this is kind of a joke, but like they'll be better at this next year than they are this year. They'll understand how to do the chemistry experiments a bit better. They'll understand we don't need all these new players. Where we have eight, let's maybe have five. Let's not rep everybody for as long as we did. Just they'll get better at that for sure. They'll understand who to be like more focused on in the transfer portal. They'll have more time, so they'll be better at it next year. I think that's the big thing you can hinge on is that never mind the yeah, we laugh about it. I'm a better coach now than I was before, but they have been through it once now that they'd never been through before. If you're better between your first and second games, as the cliche goes, you're naturally going to be better between your first and second seasons too. So there should be improvements in how they put together a roster, how they evaluate, how they set their aperture for who they're looking at, how many players they're looking at, what skills they need, because they know what didn't work this year and also what did work. So through through successes and failures this year, the experience will help them next year. That's the big thing. And you get into more stuff too, like they'll have more time in the recruiting class, they'll have more time in the transfer portal. All true. They have to make it work. I get that, but they should be better at it.
All right, I'm trying to look at it. I was trying to get there before you finished talking, but let's take a guess as I'm looking it up. 51 transfers, not counting specialists, because I'm not trying to disparage your specialist, Mike, but I'm trying to do a snap count thing here. So got to leave them out. Out of the 51 specialists, let's see. All right, so 7 games. What do you want to say? 150 snaps? Let's set the bar at.
About 20 games, sure.
Yeah. All right. So 51 transfers. Out of 51, give me a number that you think has played 150 snaps for West Virginia right now.
41.
No, not even close, I don't think.
Really?
7 on offense. Let's start with the offense. 7 on offense.
I should have thought about this. I'm going through it right now, and it's
So
mostly all.
here's the 7 on offense.
Yeah.
And I mean, because it's not pretty. Walter Youngbear.
Let's see.
I'm going to give PFF grades. You can take everybody listening or watching can take them for whatever they're worth there. 52.6. Again, 65 is above average, 60 is average. Macanioli, 42.3. Tykeus Crawford, 55.5. Cam Vaughn, 63.2. Grayson Barnes, 47.3. Jeff Weimer, 58.1. And Justin Smith Brown, 57.2. So 7 players on offense have played 20 snaps a game, and 0 of them are one of them is average, 0 above average. Defense. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Ooh,
5, 6, 7, 8,
14.
9, 9 players. So that's 16 out of the 51 have played at least 150 snaps. Out of the 9 on defense, we got 1 above average, Jason Chambers, 68.4, Darian Lewis, 64.7, Fred Perry, above average. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of the 51 transfers for West Virginia, 8 have been above average, and all of them on defense. And I think we can safely say that all 8 of those grades were boosted in the first 3 weeks of the
Yeah.
season. So I mean, everything here we got to kind of talk about a little bit, but
Hmm.
even snap wise, 1 out of 3 transfers are actually contributing.
Yeah.
So my point, what I was getting to here is they took 51 transfers. Rich Rodriguez said they're hoping for 8 to 10 impact transfers next year, 20 to 25. So again, if you can just get the numbers of what you need for transfers down, like the numbers game, it's just such a big numbers game here with so many failures on transfers here that just aren't not failures necessarily because some of these guys are younger, then maybe they'll contribute next year. But that's your hope. is that they can build up next year. You need fewer impact guys the next year, et cetera, and so on. But man, 8 out of 51. And I would call
Yeah.
into question like 4 or 5 of those eight as far as above
Yeah,
average right now.
we
So
sure about that?
yeah,
Yeah. So one, that's not like what you read. That's not enough. And I'm not sure 8 to 10 is enough in his projection, just because the situation he has. Again, the same question you asked me in the beginning of the season, you could ask me now. Like, if you ask me in August, are they going to be good? I don't know. If they're going to be good, they're going to have to do A, B, and C. Can they get there? And I didn't know how they were going to get there. I have a similar conversation now without knowing any of the ingredients, though. That's the thing. But if they're going to be good next year, they're going to have to do L, M, N, O, and P, and probably Q, R, S, and T as well. And while we're at it, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So can they do all that? That's a long list. So you have your doubts, but you don't know the pieces yet. So you might be right to be down, but maybe now isn't the time to be down.
yeah. All right. We are 35, 40 minutes into the pod, and we've answered like 3 questions. So let's get
Okay.
a little quick rapid fire here before I get to a mini draft that we're going to set up.
Ooh.
Roger 247, do you foresee WVU ever getting to 8 or 9 game winning seasons ever again? If so, what year? Will I still be alive?
Yes.
Yes.
It'll be unless you I don't know your age, whatever, but I'm hoping you're healthy and wealthy and wise, and you'll be with us for a long time. Um, if your expiration date is yesterday, for example, no. But 8, 9, come on, it's not that bad.
All
It
right.
could be a while for sure.
Before the end of the decade, let's set the odds.
Yeah.
Is
So
mo
we're talking
more likely
26,
than not?
27, 28, 29.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20, 26, 27, 28, 29. So within
Yes.
the next 4 years, will West Virginia win 8 games?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Agreed. It may not be all 4 years. It may not even be 2 of the years, but they will once, at
I just
least.
I cannot go back to school again, Chris.
No.
I don't have any room on my walls. I never wanted to get a second degree. I have two now. I'm not going back to school again.
Um, Duffy 95 on a scale of 1 to 10. What is the likelihood of Jack McNeil getting fired? Zizen, 0, because he's on a 1 year deal. So
Ah,
you
dang, you
can't,
took my answer.
so you can't get fired, I guess.
Uh,
Um,
listen, that's going to be the one because names out there that we know about because you can get that position. Um, you can attract to that position by getting players, but and also because that's the position that has been like in the crucible all year. Obviously, that's going to be the marquee one once the offseason comes.
um,
Like I'm not comfortable having that conversation. I don't know Jack McNeil.
yeah.
I'm never good about this coach needs to be fired. But we're being naive if we think that we're not being honest with each other if we don't think that that is going to be a big part of their offseason plan.
Yeah, I
Keeping him to
mean,
make him better or getting rid of him and getting someone else better.
honestly, I mean, it's again, this isn't anything about a specific coach. It's
No,
just that has been the worst position group right now. Even before he got here, Rich Rodriguez it was not a secret. It was terribly not a secret that Bignell was not the first choice. Like, I mean, Rick Trickett went on the radio in West Virginia to say he had the offer and didn't want to come. And so you just put those one and one together there. Like, this is nothing about our opinions. Related, sort of, WV Bless. Do you have any theories on why the young offensive linemen are not getting more playing time? I mean, Rich said it after the game, UCF. I mean, he seems very displeased with the offensive line, but he said, again, he repeated, this is not the first time he said it. Those are the best five, according to the coaching staff right now.
I have a hard time believing that to be true now.
I do too. But
And especially like I don't think they believe this either. But this is so familiar to you, I'm sure. But assign every player value 1 through 5. Your job is to get the highest sum, get to close to 25 as you can. And I just cannot believe after watching this for 7 games now that there isn't a better alignment, a better combination of players where you sub out this guy because he's a 3. The other guy may be a 3 too, but that 25 or that 22 or whatever it would be, that sum by swapping out 1 3 for another 3 is better. I just don't believe that I don't believe that they can't find a better combination right now. And if I'm wrong, which may be the case, because they should know better than me on this, I just have a hard time believing it for 2 reasons. One, been watching for 7 games, and two, I haven't seen the options, Chris. What are the alternatives? Just again, externally versus internally, that's going to be hard for people to accept.
And all I was thinking about it the other day when right after Rodriguez said it in the post game, like, yeah, these are the best options. And to your point right there, have we seen the other options? Like in a game, really? Like, and in the preseason, I know it was a different position, but Rich Rodriguez pointed out that like he was talking about quarterback, that they're just guys that play better in games.
Mhm.
So how do we not know that there are guys better? And then I thought, hey, maybe it's a redshirt thing. Maybe they're trying to get down to 4 games, but there's nobody that really qualifies for that because even a couple of these guys that could replace them, like Malik Agbo, he's already at 5 games. Um, Josh Iasosa's sitting at 4 games right now. I don't know if that's in play, but I think he's already redshirted, so it shouldn't be. Robbie Martin's at 1 game, but center hasn't been the biggest issue because even Carson Lee's gotten in there, and he's Carson Lee's at 5 games. So I don't know.
Brandon Homidy's played in every game.
Yeah, he's been on special teams all over the place and gotten in a couple times on the line. So don't know. No, I don't know why these guys aren't getting in there. Um, there was the question about this. That was from Duffy95 about why should fans care with the players now getting paid 3 times as much, everything. So there we go. Who would win? A WVU fans, stop taking this from my actually accomplished rankings and snap judgments. I said it was a disappointment that West Virginia and Oklahoma State aren't playing in the Super Bowl this year between the two teams. He wants to know who would win if we played Oklahoma State this season.
Have you seen Oklahoma State?
I mean, have you seen West Virginia? Well,
Yeah, I have. But all right, so are we doing neutral or are we doing home? Or are we playing this game?
yeah, let's do neutral site game, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. If you win, you get first pick of the transfer portal.
Hold on, I'm going to my I'm doing this in real time here. I'm trying to go to my point spread generator here. I have West Virginia by 7.5
Seven
in
and
a,
a half.
in a
Oh,
neutral
dude,
site.
give me Oklahoma State plus 7.5.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I don't know about winning. I think West Virginia can win, but who is West Virginia blowing out?
You're looking at actually it's going to be 7.5. It's going to be about 26 to eh, 26 to
Yeah,
18, something like that.
I say the plus 7.5 because which one of these teams is scoring 30, 40 points? Like neither
Yeah,
of
the
them.
over under is going to be like 46, Chris.
So no thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just I've watched Oklahoma State a couple times because for personal reasons, and it's pretty rough. There's just a dearth of talent there. It's just not. It's similar situation for sure. It might be a home field thing too. Their quarterback situation is really like. Have you seen who's playing quarterback for them?
no.
I believe it's the guy who was like retired from D3. So that's
Okay.
not good. They don't have a lot going on there, and apathy is a pretty big one too. I would not want to watch the game. Might go back to school for that one. I would think that West Virginia has that one, but I don't know what platform's covering that game too.
Yeah.
That
Is that
might be
going to
like
be
on one
on?
of those. It might be on like the TV station at Sheets when you're pumping gas.
I was gonna say Tubi, but I like the gas station channel better.
Yeah.
Um, BNWVU 72. Who will be the third leading scorer of the basketball team? Um, so what are we saying? Huff, Eaglestaff, 1-2? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. I think Chance Moore's got a chance, and it would be either him or Lorient would be my guesses. I think a lot of people would probably say Lorient. I wouldn't argue with you there. I just like Chance Moore. I know he's going to be down 5 games. Maybe he'll be fresh toward the back end. Uh, Load management, so to speak. A little creativity by Ross Hodge there. Yeah, give him 5 games off. That's fine. But I would say Lorient or Moore. I just kind of like Moore.
Over under 16 and a half wins. So that's above 500, right? 32 games, 17, 15.
I think it'll be above.
Okay. Tournament team? Question mark.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Um, Milton Ear 59. This was your favorite question pre-podcast. I'm kidding.
No.
We don't talk pre-podcast. That's the favorite part of this. Have you ever encountered a coach who was so adamantly wrong? Was this coach speak? He's not about everything, but was this coach speak or gamesmanship? Do you think the staff missed on the QB room this much? Rich Rodriguez stated multiple times how he had 5 QBs he could win with, and look where we are now. I mean, one, you have to say that. You're not going to be like, hey, our quarterback room is dog crap like in the summer. Like you're not saying that as a coach. So saying
Especially when
you
you
have
you couldn't afford one of them to leave either.
Right, exactly. And so I guess you have to say we have five we can win with to keep all five there at
Yeah.
the time. So I think it's coach speak. I don't think he thought it was as bad as it is, but I do not believe that he thought one of those five was going to lead this team to like 8 wins or something like that. Like I think he just has to say that to keep them there.
Some stuff he couldn't account for either, like what's happening to Nico Marchio. I don't know that you could have seen that coming. It's not what built him up to be the type of leader and presence and pick for that position. That doesn't match what we've seen versus what they thought. Henderson, if you watch Henderson play, you might have questions about what do they see that you don't see from games here too. And you can structure practices in a way to make it intense and make him feel some heat, but maybe that wasn't near what the games were. And that's a guy who just didn't play last year.
No.
Perhaps there should have been some foresight there. Easy to say in retrospect. Max Brown, no idea. And then, did you really think you'd be down to Wilkins and Fox? Like, I think you're saying that, hey, we got five, and you're just thinking in my head, well, we're never going to get to 4 and 5,
Right.
right?
And
Guess
here you
what?
are.
Yeah, they are. And actually, they're at 4 and 5 because they skipped a step because Brown was injured and or hasn't played. So it's a mess for sure. I'm just never going to criticize a coach for being good to cover and stuff like that, for saying stuff in July that makes it easier for people to follow the team and to keep me busy. And if he thought that, that's fine. If he was saying that today, yeah, that's open season on your nuts, coach. What are you talking about,
Yeah.
right? But he's not saying that right now, obviously, and he's got to be as optimistic in doing that. But how much was fact? How much was fiction? How much is wishful thinking? Yeah, good question. But I would say that's pretty disappointing. In when you look back now, boy, I thought we were being sold this, and in fact, I have this.
Yeah. Well,
Coaches should be fun to cover. That's what I'm saying. Like, and if you're gonna
yeah.
say something like that, man, I got five quarterbacks I can win with. I'll be typing pretty quickly.
Yeah. And like I said, I had no issue with it. I think I joked about it a little bit when he said it, just because I
Yeah.
think it was like a month before it was two, and
Hmm.
then it was three, and then like 30 minutes later it was five.
Yeah.
So you kind of you knew the truth was more like he thought two. Like you
Yeah.
knew it was Markio Henderson. Like because that was the first thing he said. And then it went from two to three to five. Again, a lot of what and this went back to my thoughts on the offensive line and why I was so concerned in the preseason. Go back to what he first says about things. Because his first comments about the offensive line dating back to the spring were terrible. And then he kind of softened it up. And I think that, again, that's so much of that is just coach speak and trying to retain your roster. You have to do it. There's nothing wrong with it, but try to look at what he first says about positions or players and go from there.
Do you feel like Max Anderson and Scott Keen are lifelong friends now? Just just united by this fact they've been completely
Yeah.
overlooked every time. Like we're 6 or 7. Who are
Yeah.
we? Like they get together for coffee and like after practice, like 5 you going with, hey, how's that going for you, coach? And just
Yeah.
those two, 10 years from now, they'll be hanging out at like Kegler's before a home game. Remember that time that we were completely omitted from the
Yeah.
conversation, even though we were on the team? The guy couldn't play football. They couldn't play dead in the Western, and we're 6 or 7. We're not even in the conversation. I hope those two are friends.
Well, neither of them have thrown an interception. So, and
Peerless
yeah,
performances.
there you go. All right, we're ending with this.
All right.
There's three different questions, very much related,
Okay.
and I'm going to turn it into a miniature draft. We'll start the draft, and I'll give the details afterwards. But let me ask the questions first. Timber Pimp, in your opinion, other than Cam and Jaheim, what other underclassmen at each position group are must retains for next year's team? 4-1 SG Fear 52. Are there any current players with eligibility left that can be deemed must keeps for next year? Anybody to build around? And Dolly 772. Do you think Cam Vaughn will play for WVU next year? So, Mike, 5 round draft. So a total of 10 players between the two of us. We take turns drafting people with eligibility left. Legitimate eligibility, not suing the NCAA after the season eligibility.
So Ty Edwards is off the board.
Yeah, let's assume based off of how players are listed on the WVU football roster, their eligibility for next season, which for you listening or watching, or Mike right now if you need to, the updated transfer and roster tracker that is on our front page that I put up earlier this year, that reflects each position group and remaining eligibility as stated by the university.
Let me go find
So,
this.
um, front page, top left, Mike,
Okay,
it's in the special links section. So, do you want first pick?
cool. Can we just talk about a couple things here too?
Sure.
Um, what's the hubbub on Cam Vaughn?
It's a good question.
I just don't know what the rush is there. And then um, this is harsh, but it's 2025. Like, where's Jaheim White going?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Like, I don't think Ohio State's swooping in and taking him,
yeah, the
for
power
example.
what power four schools are swooping in to take a 5'8", 100 and well, 205 pounds now, right? And that was got super bulked up.
Yeah.
5'7", 205 pounds. Uh, running back coming off a knee surgery, whose best season was 3 years ago. Once we start 2026, like his best season was 2023.
Be tough. I would take him back on my team for sure.
Yeah,
But if he came to me with like a big offer from I'm just thinking top of my head here, Jacksonville State, whatever. Just let's pick that for fun. I'd be like, you sure you want to do that? I mean, I would have a conversation with my people about what do we have? Do we have to have him? But I'm not sure he'd be a high pick for me either. So, but anyways, I don't want to go first. You go first.
all right.
Do
Let's
you want to
see.
go
Who am I
first?
spending my? You go first, because it's because my answer is not either of those two as far as my first pick
No,
goes. I know that. So go ahead.
this is so difficult. Boy, this is not great. Um, do I go Nick Cray?
Interesting.
Like I feel like I mean he's a red shirt. He's a sophomore, correct?
Yeah, he's still got eligibility left, like 2 or 3 years.
Played
So
okay, and I don't want to have like five new offensive linemen, and I'm spending a lot on tackles if I'm replacing both of them because you
yeah,
have to because Crawford's gone, and I'm just thinking cost effective. He's a good player. You could do something with him, and I just don't want. He saves me some money because I'm not spending on tackle, and I don't want to have five new offensive linemen.
don't hate the pick. I
Okay.
don't. I said interesting just because it's like, hey, you went offensive line first, which is that's a curveball.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
like when we sit here and talk about the issues that the offensive line is having, how many times are we specifically talking about Nick Cray? Not often. Like, has he
Mhm.
been Wyatt Milam good? No, no. Like, I mean, but are we expecting him to be like a top 3 round NFL pick? No, but he's been okay.
Mhm.
So, and I don't hate it. And to your point of, hey man, if you can keep him, that's a lot less money you got to spend on a tackle in the portal to try to acquire new players.
Mhm.
I'm going Curtis Jones
Ah.
Jr. Like one, we talk. I mean, hey, no surprise. Like the most important positions, quarterback, which I'm not paying really to retain many of these guys, edge, pass rushers, and tackles. Like
Mhm.
that's where you got to start. Those are going to be the most expensive players. If you can retain the guys that you're developing, you need to do it. So Curtis Jones Jr. for me, I think he's been very solid all season long and shown a little bit of versatility too.
Yeah. Candidate for first pick for me for sure. Um, I'm gonna go surprise and go off board here, but I'm buying the stock. This is my pick earlier in the season, and I think he's got a chance to be a good player. I'm gonna grab Keyshawn Johnson, excuse me, Keyshawn Robinson. They're gonna need corners. Again, you can go out and spend on them, not as much as offensive line, not as much as defensive end or other needs there too. But he's in house. Again, I just like what I see from him. They put him in spots. He does well. He played a little bit more than expected last game too. Be curious to see if he gets out back there more. But you're going to have a major turnover at that position too, and just keep somebody in house and help you out.
All right, now I'm going to go back to one of the guys we talked about at the start, Jaheim White. Like again, coming off a knee surgery, his best year was his freshman year. Didn't look outstanding to start the year. Um, but he's going to have 2 years of eligibility left. He's not a threat to me personally to be leaving it early for the NFL, so you might be able to get 2 more years out of him. And he's got that quick burst speed. If they can give him true blocking and he figures out this scheme, it's the kind of explosive playmaking I think this offense needs. So give me Jaheim White for my second pick.
All right, I'm gonna bookend my offensive line. I like Josh Isosa. Just good pedigree, playing a little bit. You're got the tackle. I mean, I don't know. I think he's 6'3" as I list him at, but could he be guard? Could he be tackle? He's been playing guard, but so I probably can't book him offensive line. But I want young offensive line I can grow with here, and I don't want to have to start over every year. And keeping a sophomore and keeping a freshman and giving them a couple years, I think that does that for me.
Okay. Let's see. Where do I want to go next? Ooh,
Hmm.
I want to go Cam Vaughn. Might be boring. All right, Cam Vaughn. I'll go ahead. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, and I just looked at, so I'm not exactly backing up myself here, but he's averaging about 2.5 catches per game against FBS opponents.
Hmm.
But I do feel like so much of that is quarterback play. I mean, obviously quarterbacks are not playing well, but watching in the second half of that UCF game, Cam Vaughn was getting open
Yeah.
a lot. And I remember, I think I posted it on the board in the staff thread of this wasn't our typical second half where the opposing team puts in their backups. West Virginia's offense looks good for a couple drives and then, oh, ended on a little bit of a warm and fuzzy. Instead, it was Cam Vaughn running wide open and then seeing the life sucked out of him as a ball sailed 10 yards over his head. And I think that there was one, it happened on back-to-back plays on one drive. I think Fox was in at that point, but it also happened with Wilkins too. And so I think he's got the stuff. The stats aren't there, but I don't think the stats are lacking because of his play. I think it's because of quarterback play. So give me Cam Vaughn. Give me 2 years of Cam Vaughn, and I'll go with that.
All right, I'm gonna stick my defensive backfield. I don't know what's happened to his playing time. I just like Nick Taylor. Positional versatility, is a corner, has been playing safety, has been playing safety much lately, but that's because they have Walker and Carter both back healthy. You still have Darian Lewis back there, just older players. There's something there with them. They like him. They brought him over with the coaches who knew him from Appalachia State. And again, you've got time, and I don't want to rebuild the back end of my defense because we've seen what's happened this year where just not a familiarity, not a lot of communication ease there too. So give me someone who knows the system and can. I'll find a place for him. He could be a corner, probably a safety.
Do I want to go with, see, I'm trying to see if I'm being too biased towards guys with multiple years. And I might be, but I'm going defensive line and I'm going to take Nate Gabriel over Asani
Hmm.
Redwood, not because he's better than Asani Redwood. Again, you got 2 years of him, but one way or the other, I don't, to your point about not wanting to rebuild the entire offensive line, I don't want to have to rebuild the entire defensive line either. Eddie V's gone, Eddie Kelly's gone, Devin Grant's going to be gone. Like Jamori Robinson, Bandit, whatever, he's going to be gone. There's a lot of things that are going to be missing from this year's team on that defensive front, in that defensive front 3/4, if you count the Bandit. So if I can keep a couple of these guys that I know can contribute, that I know can be solid, then I want to do it. And I'm going to go with Gabriel playing on the inside, 2 years of eligibility left already. You know, as far as PFF is concerned, average to above average player, playing 20 some snaps a game. I'll take him. Is that four apiece? That's four
Yep,
apiece,
last
right?
one then.
Yeah.
That was my last pick, and I thought not against him because I just like him or Corey McIntyre. Just I like Gabriel more. I'm not sure that I've seen enough of McIntyre, but the guy just hasn't been able to get in the field for one reason or another. I've covered this, I've covered that. What do I do now? Um, Give me Sincere Bowers because I think there's something there. If they get an offensive line, they get a good quarterback who can give you some sleight of hand. The read plays will work with him and healthy starting. This feels like the runway for him and not the off road. Like he's just getting started right now. So got one in house. Don't have to worry about major expense there too. But I like him. If he gets himself good off season and a good offensive line, he can do some things for sure.
All right. Serious question here before I make my last pick, because I wasn't going to, but do you think the staff has to at least spend some money to keep somebody at quarterback? Can you run the risk of
Yeah.
losing all of your five and leaving just Max Anderson and Scott Keen hanging out?
I said they could all be back next year. You know that?
Yeah, I mean everybody can be back except Nico is what it is right now.
Well, I mean he could be.
Well, you could be, but
He's not
yeah,
going to be, but he could be.
right.
Um,
Do
I
you
would
think
say
they need to?
well, no, I would say no because you've got oh boy, I don't know yet. I get the idea that a lot of people are saying you got to use the second half of the season to figure out if it's going to be Fox or if it's going to be Wilkins. What if it's neither? So I can't tell you today that like they got to do that. And also, if it's not clear that they're going to go somewhere, then are they going to go? Like, why would you leave this situation? They're going to bring in like a 1 year rental again next year. Let's just say they bring in some guy who's going to be a senior. Well, then junior year Scotty Fox might be a much better player. Junior year Khalil Wilkins might be a much better player. So it might behoove them. I would not spend big on keeping one of them. No. Like, where's Max Brown going? Where's Jalen Henderson going? If they want to drop down to an FCS or a group of five, hey, that's on you. Or you can spend your senior year here and see what happens. But they might also walk if West Virginia does indeed go after like an impact quarterback too.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Um, all right, my last pick. I am going defensive line again. I'm going to Sonny Redwood. Like if I can just keep two of my three pieces, it's much easier to replace. I mean, again, and not that Nate Gabriel's starting, but if I can have a Sonny Redwood and Nate Gabriel, and maybe they got a little bit of overlap possibility there. But if I can keep two pieces out of that defensive line rotation, I'm feeling much better than I would be if I was trying to replace so many of them. So
And
give
just
me
to the
him
question
even
here,
with 1 year. Yeah.
to the question here too, like I'm not like we'll skip over the freshman class, even though like I think Chris Filippo and trying to think who else is in there. Ken Torbor's played a little bit of linebacker, like a little bit.
Yeah.
You go into like some of your and the defensive line class too. I mean, people really are high
Really
on
high. Taylor
Taylor
Brown,
Brown.
Brandon Caesar. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's stuff there that you don't know yet, and you won't know till next year. But then if you go into like your sophomore, your redshirt freshman class, like Dior Hubbard, Ashton Woods, we mentioned Isosa, Robbie Martin, Ryan Ward. Back now we're going sophomores: Boyce, Jennings, Curtis Jones, Nick Taylor, Keyshawn Robinson, Sincere Bowers, Clay Ash. Skip those guys. Christian Hamilton, Tyler Jackledge, Nick Cray, Corey McIntyre, Cooper Young, we haven't seen, could be a good player. Cyrus Trow from Youngstown State hadn't played. Ben Cutter's a junior. Rodney Gallagher's a junior. Max Brown, Markio, Jarrell Williams, Scott Keen, Ben Bogle, Cannon Katzer, Marshawn Oxley, Keenan Eck, Donovan Haslam, Malik Agbo, Landon Livingston, Xavier Bosley, Jordan McCants, Asani Redwood, Elijah Simmons, Adam Tomzak. Chris, those are all guys who can be back. Like those are all guys who can be back next year. Is that your starting lineup for a Big 12 championship caliber team? No. If that's your second level, your third level, like a lot of those names, if they're pushing for starting spots, if they're starting, if they're filling your two deep, and you can add your 8 to 10 impact, it's not terrible. It's not like that's what. So there's not answers there. Certainly like an exhaustive list of answers, but there's a starting point, and you know like okay, do need him, don't need him. He's walking, he can take a hike, whatever. You'll get those answers, but there are players there that can make you better next season because they'll be back.
And I think Rich Rodriguez knows a couple of them. Did you notice during the press conference last week where he was asked about, hey, what did you see during the open week from the young guys? And it was, yeah, a couple of them look good. Okay.
Who played?
Like absolutely zero mention of a specific player when asked about some of the young guys during the open week during the scrimmaging. So
Yeah, that's on me because I right away I was like, what? And then people fired off questions after that, and then the next question and answer was like, hey, we need 10 million bucks, or we got that. Like that's what ended up like 5 minutes later. It's like, oh, we don't have enough money, we need more money, and then I was like, how much money do you need? I never got back to those. Who are the two good players
yeah,
that are in the underclass? Chris, they played everybody who got a helmet on defense for the road
really?
trip. Yeah, they played everybody who was on defense. They played. So
Wow.
they put some young players in there and they tried some things out. Granted, the game got away, but they did put again Robinson, Nick Taylor, young defensive linemen, young linebackers. They put in there. Played Caden Bizer's not young, but they played him. They played uh, like I said, they played McIntyre. They played Gabriel a lot in that toward the end there. So that happened a little bit. Offense just didn't see that, but everybody who they traveled 74, 67 got into the game. Two quarterbacks didn't get in, and your backup long snapper and one kicker didn't get in. So three offensive players out of offense and defense did not play. That's it. Not quarterback edition. I don't want to name them, but like I wrote their names down. They're in the article, but it's when you travel with 68 offensive and defensive players and you play 65 of them, think you have to tip your hat there a little bit. Like
Yeah.
coming out of an open week, and granted, if they win that game, or if it's close, they probably don't. But in that situation, they realize, all right, here we go, live reps. Go out and practice on the field during the game and see what happens. To play 65 out of 68 offensive and defensive players, that's pretty big.
All right, Mike. Well, I think that covers everything. We've gone 1 hour. We've answered the least number of questions we've ever done in a 1 hour
I
podcast.
like it.
Kudos to us.
Yeah.
But we will get the rest. We got a couple pulled aside for 3 minute videos for later in the week. And then I will answer the rest of them written format Wednesday morning. Rich Rodriguez radio show tonight. Rich Rodriguez press conference tomorrow. Anything else coming up? We got Ross Hodge this week. Is he going
I don't
weekly?
think so.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure, but a scrimmage in the books, the exhibition on Sunday. Big team coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
Well coached. Gonna be a handful.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We'll see. Football tomorrow. Is our website down, Chris?
I don't think so. Our website? Hope not. Yep, sure is.
Good timing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go fix this. Until next time, I'm Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We will talk to you then.